What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Pulp Fiction, my all-time favorite movie by my number one favorite director of all time, Quentin Tarantino, with writing contributions from Roger Avery. I can talk about Pulp Fiction for hours on end, but I'm going to try and make this review as short as I can. Do not be shocked if it goes to like close to 20 minutes because I have so much I can talk about when it comes to Pulp Fiction. This movie has had such an impact on me for such a young age that parts of its dialogue have entered into the way I speak to people. That's how much I love this movie. From the cast to the writing to just the overall iconic and quotable quotes, the iconic scenes that just stay with you, Pulp Fiction really was that once in a generation type of movie that when it came out, it was going to leave a long lasting impact, and nearly 30 years after its release, we're still talking about it. That's how good this movie is. And you have those memorable performances by Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta as Jules and Vincent. Outstanding chemistry, awesome stuff between those two. You got a great prologue with Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth as Honey Bunny and Pumpkin. Outstanding stuff. The dialogue in this movie is just so rich and just so like hypnotizing. You don't want to take your eyes off the screen because you just want to hear these characters talk about whatever they're talking about. The greatest thing about like that opening prologue with Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth, they're talking about about doing a robbery, but they never explicitly mention anything about. They never mention the word doing a robbery until midway through the conversation. Jules and Vincent, when they're on the way to an apartment complex to collect something, they're having a conversation about McDonald's, and it's engrossing. And then when they get to the hotel complex, they're having a conversation about how Vincent has to take his boss's wife out because the boss is going out of town, and the boss wants Vincent to like kind of watch over her. They're talking about foot massages and how Marcellus Wallace nearly killed a guy for touching his wife's feet. It's just ridiculous. The quotable scenes, the iconicness of this movie, it all stands out. And then this movie, it balances so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, this movie can have really intense scenes, but the dialogue makes you laugh, and the way it's delivered makes you laugh. And it's not because it's because like something very intense is happening, but the dialogue itself is just so like it's got such a sharpness to it that you can't help but admire it. Perfect example is the scene where Samuel Jackson's character, is pointing the gun at Brett, and he just starts spewing everything about Brett. The infamous what scene, the famous what scene, which is it's an hysterical scene, but it's so tensely directed. I love it. We got the stuff with Jules and Mia Wallace, played by Uma Thurman. Outstanding stuff. Great chemistry. The scene where they're at Jack Rabbit Slim's having their conversations, and we see like a cool chemistry develop between those two. Great stuff. The infamous twist scene, which is fantastic. Seeing John Travolta and Uma Thurman dance, good stuff. We get the stuff with Bruce Willis, Butch, the aging boxer who was paid by Marcellus Wallace to take a dive, but he doesn't take a dive, and now Marcellus Wallace is on the hunt for him. Which leads to them going into a pawn shop, and they get kidnapped by Zed and Mayer and his redneck friend, and Marcellus Wallace has a morning he will never forget for the rest of his life, and we're going to leave it at that. Then we get the Bonnie situation segment, And what I like about this movie is how every segment is divided into its own separate story. But if you watch it in chronological order, they all tie in together. But I think the way the movie is, having everything done separate, it gives it such a unique feel, and I love it for that. You know what I'm saying? I just absolutely love it for that because it presents the movie in a different light. And when you're watching it, it's more of an experience because you get to piece everything together. You know what I'm saying? Like, the opening prologue happens, and then we get the epilogue to that opening prologue at the end of the movie, because which is a continuation from that prologue. But in between, we get stuff with Vincent and Mia. We get the stuff with Butch, and we get that great scene with Christopher Walken telling Butch's story about how he had to hide Butch's dad's watch up his ass, which is hysterical shit. I can't I can't express how much I love the dialogue in this movie. It's just so quotable. It's just so rich. And you got these talented actors just making these words come to life. You know, you got Samuel L. Jackson, you got John Travolta, Christopher Walken, Ving Rhames, Bruce Willis. You know, all these talented actors in one movie. It's almost this movie is like a perfect storm. You know, it resurrected the career of John Travolta. It reestablished Bruce Willis as a box office star. To me, this was the movie that made Samuel L. Jackson a household name. Up to that point, Samuel L. Jackson didn't really have a whole lot of big beefy roles. Yes, he had some parts in a couple of movies here and there, but he never really had a movie where he was like a centerpiece of it, and he gave a performance. In this movie, Jackson gives a performance that to this day people still quote. People still quote. He's the famous Ezekiel 25:17. Everyone still quotes the bad motherfucker stuff from the diner. By the way, I want that fucking wallet. I don't know how I'm gonna get it. My life's mission is to get a bad motherfucker wallet. I want it so bad. And of course, again, we get the buying situation where we get the wraparound to the prologue, but we also get introduced to the characters of Jimmy, played by Quentin Tarantino himself, who was like a friend of Jules, and he has the most racial-filled quote monologue in the whole movie. It's hysterical. Unfortunately, I can't quote it because I will not say the line I will not say the words that he says. But you know, we also have an awesome monologue. Where he's like, it ain't like the infamous coffee monologue he does. Like, when Bonnie buys coffee, she buys shit. Love that stuff. And the dead blank storage stuff, hilarious shit. Of course, Winston Wolfe, the man who solves problems, played by the legendary and fantastic Harvey Keitel. Small role, but Harvey Keitel makes it stand out. I love it so much. It's good stuff. Of course, and of course we get more stuff. You know, we get the stuff with Eric Stoltz, who plays the character of Lance, who's Travolta's friend / dealer, and we get to that very, very intense scene where Mia overdoses. Travolta has to take her to Lance's house so that she can get an adrenaline shot, or else she's going to die. And it's so tightly directed. It's so tense. It's at the edge of your seat. And when that needle hits her breastplate and Uma Thurman just pops up, you get that sign of relief. Like, it's like edge of your seat gripping stuff. All that credit goes to Tarantino in his tight direction. It goes to the cinematography, which is well done in this movie all throughout. I love the music choices in this movie, the use of popular music. It's all well integrated, especially the infamous Merzalou Dick Dale opening scene. That good stuff. Oh my god. So yes, there is so much more that I can talk about when it comes to Pulp Fiction, but I think I'm going to stop it here, because if I keep going, you ain't going to stop me. Yes, in case you haven't noticed, to me, Pulp Fiction is a glorious 10 out of 10. I love this movie to death. I try to watch it at least once or twice a year. It is fantastic. This is the epitome of how you make a memorable movie that will forever stand the test of time. Okay, so those are my fanboy thoughts on Pulp Fiction. Let me know if you like this movie down in the comment sections below. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.